entertained! Is this not why you are here?
I address you tonight as a citizen of humanity. We are faced with the very gravest challenges.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Live from the Plantation. I'm Spartacus 2.0, a.k.a. Jerry Metcalf, and with me, as usual, upstairs on his own prison phone, is Lucifer 777.
Doe.
Today, Portia from the Red Zone asked us to do a little community outreach for at-risk youth. That's what we're going to do. We got some questions we're going to ask each other, and then we're gonna talk, discuss them, answer them. You know, so volunteer work.
Okay.
See if we can help some kids not go down the path that we did.
Rabbit hole.
Ready to roll?
Most definitely. You already know. Let's get to it, buddy.
All right, let's start off. Role models. Who we choose to look up to now, and who we used to look up to. You want to start, or you want me to start?
I mean, I'll start, buddy. Like, the people I look up to now is, I mean, the story from rags to riches, right? Anybody that's been through nothing and that know the struggle, that's been at their bottom, the people I look up to, right? That had nothing, like, and mostly, like, nowadays, it's people that's, like, mostly rappers now. Like, Jay-Z, like, one of my top guys that I love, man, because he's at the pinnacle of his success right now, right? But he came from nothing. Like, a drug dealer, petty drug dealer, and now he's a billionaire, right? And he's built this camp around him full of billionaires. And the only thing he speak of is, you know, ways and avenues to make money, right? And he was one of the people that I looked up to when I was younger, because at his lowest, I looked up to him because he was a drug dealer, right? These guys that was so employed, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I really like looked at him like, all right, well, I see his maturation, and now I'm maturing along with him, right? But at a slower pace, because I see it now. I'm like, all right, well, there was one of those guys. It was most of money ruled everything for me. So if I can get it fast, then that was okay for me. You know?
All right, that was a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
For me, I think when I was real little, I looked up to, like, you know, like I wanted to be the normal, you know, like I was talking to my little nephew the other day. He was like, I want to be a police officer. I was like, oh, no, you don't, not nowadays.
You want to be a police officer.
Yeah. He settled on ice cream server. He's like, okay, ice cream server. You know, he's real little. I said, yeah, that's a good job, ice cream server. No, when I was real little, I wanted to be, you know, the normal stuff, police officer, fireman, astronaut, those kind of things. Somewhere along the line, things got twisted up, and like I started watching, like, I found myself rooting on the bad guy in television shows, or you know what I mean, like the criminals. Like I would watch Miami Vice, and I would get mad because the bad guys, the drug dealers, and the robbers and shit never got away. I was like, how come they can't all get caught? You know? And yeah, so my shit got all twisted up. And then I started idolizing like NWA. And, you know, I started, you know, different rappers, and back then rap was, you know, kind of raw. You know, for that time period. You know, like now rap is common, and the things they talk about is common. But back then, rap was not common, and the things they were talking about was not common. Like Ice-T had a song "Fuck the Police." You know, they actually banned it.
Right.
But
hell no.
So, but nowadays, you know what I look up? I look up to men that are good fathers and doctors, people who run the little community centers. Because you know, one of my things is I want to go home and I want to cook for people in the soup kitchen. I know it sounds like some weird shit, but I do. I got all these meals planned. I want to go there, buy all the stuff, you know, volunteer my time and cook in the soup kitchen. That's just one of the things I want to do. So I look up to the men that do that, and the women, men and women that do that. So those are my new role models, you know. So it's
definitely.
It's just me. So let's move on.
Yeah. Altruistic
decision
mindset.
making. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Decision making now
Definitely.
and then. So like, how is your decision making? How has it evolved over time between back then, when we were at our worst at decision making to now when I believe we're at our best, or we're not at our best, but we're making our way towards.
We're making our way towards
as good as we can be. Yeah. Start us off.
Most
Decision
definitely.
making.
So decision making, like I said, like money rule, like the greed of money was like the prime focus for me, right? So, and that at my adolescent stage, I was like it's all we impulsive, we irrational and stuff like that. And if you dangle the carrot in front of us, we're gonna try our best and fastest to try to grab that carrot by any means, right? So, I made my worst decisions around that time, right? And now, like again, right, it comes back full circle because now I still focus on like being a support system and being a backbone for my family. So I still focus on ways to get money, but I'm not as irrational. I'm in control of my emotions and I'm in control of my impulses, right? So now my decision making has turned on his head, but for the same purpose,
I do. I get it. I agree with you. You said pretty much you covered everything that I would have said. Impulsiveness for me. I was very impulsive. Now in any given situation, no matter what it is, I pause and I take a deep breath. I think before I act. So that once I've learned taking that one breath gives my mind the time to catch up with my heart. Because usually my heart knows what's right, but my mind sometimes is caught up in a lot of the bullshit of the world, and it'll bend in the wrong direction. But that one,
you need that 3-second pause.
Right, take that pause, let my mind catch up with my heart, and I'm like, yeah, all right, Like yesterday, perfect example. I was in the chow line yesterday. We got all these kids that are here, and like 7 of them just cut right in front of me. The old me, I'd have grabbed one of them by their braids and yanked them around and be like, what the fuck are you doing, But I took the deep breath and thought, they're just kids, man. They're just kids. They don't know no better. When I was their age,
and
I
it's not
didn't know
that
no better
serious,
either.
though.
Of course,
it's not that serious, though.
Wow.
It's not that serious.
But
Because you're going straight to the same place. Yeah.
For sure. But when I came to prison, there was rules against
right.
that, and you had to enforce them. If not, you were looked at like a punk or a bitch, and next thing you know, people are trying to do horrible things. You know what I mean? So times have also changed, but my impulsiveness is gone, and I was actually proud of myself. And I know the listeners are like proud of themselves for not, for some, but in here the rules are different than out there.
The rules it's like a jungle in here. It's like a jungle for sure.
Ain't no like a jungle. It is a jungle. All right.
Oh yeah,
Let's
you know.
move on. Let's see. Here's a good one. Identity crisis. What is it?
Yeah.
What is your definition, or our definition, in a man?
Right.
How do you define what a good man is?
Most definitely. All right, so image is everything to me, right? What it means to be a man is to have integrity, humility, and to be in control of your emotions at all times. I know it's hard, right? But it's like you had the experience of having that 3-second pause, right? You have to pay attention to the nuances. You have to be in control of the moment. You have to really pay attention to the life around you and not just let that moment drive you through life, because you're going to miss a lot of shit, right? So learn how to master your emotions and master yourself. And it takes a little work. And respecting life, including the people that you experience it with, the people that's lending a hand to you, your parents, there's people that's trying to help you, like that's spending their time, taking the time out their life and sitting down and talking to you. That's meaningful, right? I know it's a lot of shit that I remember when I was a kid that people. It's a lot of shit that I remember when I was a kid that people sat down and talked to me about that I reflect on it now, like, damn, man, if I would have listened back then, it would have changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Because you think it's going in one ear out the other.
Boy.
You think it's right.
For
You think
sure.
it's going into one ear out the other, but it's not though. It's not because you
No,
still reflect on that type of shit.
yeah, it's settling in there. It's settling in there. Yeah, I know exactly. I
Yeah.
like things still pop up today, and I'll be like, oh, I remember my mom or my dad or one of my like the mentors when I came in prison. You know, they told me something. I know exactly what you're talking about. All right,
Yeah,
so I
most
agree with
definitely,
that.
bro.
With me, integrity is my biggest thing
Yeah, most definitely.
by far. But I'll say, so start off with a man keeps his word.
Most definitely.
He works hard. He works hard at whatever he sets his sight on. Hard work is important. He helps people when they need it. He honors his wife or life partner as if they were a part of him. Raises his children. Never judges people ever. And above all else, tries his best to love everyone. I know that's a very tall task, and it's something that hard thing to ask of people, especially men. I've come to learn that even when you dislike somebody, you have to try to love them. You know, it's like those kids that I just mentioned in the line. I love every one of them little bastards. Sometimes I dislike them. The two things can coexist. You can dislike someone and love them at the same time, you know.
But you're using the correct word, though, right? Because the total end of the spectrum, opposite end of the spectrum of love is hate, and you don't hate these individuals, right? You just dislike them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Right. So you have to love them. You have to love them, but you can dislike them. You don't have to like love them. Love them.
All right. So what we're missing? Listen up, kids. You got to pay real close attention to this one. Little badasses keep getting in trouble. You're gonna be right here where we are. I've been here for 28 years. Just wrap your mind around that. 28 years. That means I've been here probably at least 12, 11 or 12 years longer than you've been alive. So we're going to discuss what we miss while we're in prison.
Most definitely, bro. Like the main thing, right? The main thing you're missing, like all the shit that you like, Fortnite and whatever you into, video games, whether it be just like kicking it with females or going to wherever you want to go to, whatever gathering you want to go to, all that shit can be stripped away from you with the snap of a finger, right? You're missing just life in general, man. Living your life, being able to be free. Missing, basically, that's what it boils down to: freedom, right? Whatever umbrella that falls up under, you're missing the opportunity to be free. The only thing that you are able to get when you was brought into this world was free will, and that's the only thing. Now you're only gonna get somebody's will now, because once you become a ward of the state, they have control over you, right? You think your mom, you can't follow the rules of your mom and stuff like that, or any father figure or any figure like school and stuff like that. You think that shit is overbearing. You get to this motherfucker, they got big boot on your neck, big boot.
Wait till you get on the plantation, become a slave like the rest of us. Mr. Charlie cracking the whip on your
big
ass.
Boot. Big boot on your neck, because there's consequences and repercussions to every action. Right. So keep it in mind.
In the entire universe.
Most definitely.
For
cause
every
and
action,
effect.
there's a fucking
It's a cause
reaction.
and effect.
Right.
Sure.
So let me add to that freedom thing, because freedom obviously is the most important. But I want to go a little more in depth.
Most definitely.
I miss the touch of a woman, scent of her hair. You know, like when she's fresh out of the shower, when there's shampoo.
Definitely.
Whether it be minty, apple, or strawberry, or something like that. You know, the feel of her lips when I press mine to hers. That like warm. You know what I mean, and soft. Right now, the youngsters are probably laughing. That's because they kiss their girlfriend every day, and they can't imagine, or their boyfriend, or whatever, however they're living their life, but they can't imagine not doing it. But try I implore all of you to try to imagine a life where you cannot kiss your partner, where you go years and years and years without even touching another human being. The only time that you're touched is in a negative way, when you get shook down, or when they're strip searching you, or whatever, or when they're wrestling you to the ground and cuffing you up. Them are the only time you get human touch. Horrible. Another thing, seeing the stars. You go out every night, you look up and you see the stars, you think, whatever, that ain't shit. But you start to go a decade or two without seeing them, and you miss them. You miss them bad.
Most definitely.
Hot bath. Oh, you think, man, a bath, that ain't shit. Well, I haven't had a bath, a real bath. I've put like the laundry tub into the shower and filled it up with water and some soap suds and made me a bootleg bath in prison, but that's it. I can't just go home. I can't just go into the bathroom, fill up the tub, and sink down into a hot bath. So it's as simple of a thing as that sounds, right? So we don't get that shit in here. Home cooked meal, mom's meal, grandma, meal. Your aunt, whoever's cooking the fucking meals for you right now. When you come home and it's something really good, your favorite, toss that shit out the window. You're gonna be eating great fucking
noodles
slop.
and potatoes.
Yeah.
Noodles and potatoes. That's
it. Noodles and potatoes and some type of gray meat. Like all the meats look the same color. They like, this one's beef, this one's turkey, this one's chicken, and they all are the same. They taste the same, have the same slimy texture. They're all gray.
What's
that shit is
look like
bullshit.
Play-Doh. Look like Play-Doh.
Yeah, Play-Doh. Yeah, that's what you're gonna be eating with your little badass if you don't straighten out.
Yeah, for sure.
Time with your family. Like we just did an episode on this right here on Live from the Plantation. We were talking about visits. We're in here begging for visits from the state to allow that we want them to allow us to see our family, and you take that for granted. You walk in the door and see your mom every day. I seen my mom the other day, and I haven't seen her since 2019, thanks to COVID. So I went years.
Bro, I haven't seen my mom since I've been down, bro.
Jesus Christ! See there.
Been on 14 years.
Yeah. That's so that's there you go. You want to go 14 years without seeing your mom? Come on in here and join us. All right, let's move on to the next one. That one really depressed me.
Sure.
This one's even worse. Death. Portia wants us to talk about death, like when we lose somebody when we're in here. So, oh my God, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
All right. Lost anyone while you've been in here?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I lost my grandma to COVID, right? I lost my grandma to COVID, but before that, I've become numb to death because a lot of I grew up like both of us. We grew up like most of us in here. We grew up in a bad environment and stuff like that, and all our deaths tied to gang violence and stuff. So mostly all my right hand men have died. But being in this predicament right now, being down for 14 years, right, man, I will break in half if I didn't get a chance to see my mom before she died. Right? So, out of everybody that I've lost since I've been incarcerated, that would be the thing. That'd be the straw that broke the camel's back, the crowning blow to which I've went insane, And I can't even fathom or imagine that, right? But I know it's inevitable. I know it's gonna happen. I just want to be there and hold her hand, And that's the type of shit that if your actions and if your emotions and your irrationality drive your decision making, you can miss out on a whole bunch of shit. Because right now, I know people that was cussing their moms and stuff out, calling them all type of names and stuff, or their brothers or their grandmas and stuff like that. But then when they pass, they go cry at their funeral. But just a month ago, you were just calling them out their name, or you were just disrespecting them. You know what I'm saying? Well, now you feel bad about it because they dead and gone. Give them their flowers while they're here, So.
Yep. To quote the late great Elmore Leonard, Detroit, one of Detroit's, most famous authors.
Detroit.
And yep, Elmore Leonard, in his short story, 310 to Yuma. One of the characters, the bad dude in there, the real killer, he says even bad men love their mamas. So I say that because everybody in prison dreads that one singular thing. We all have a fear of losing our mothers while we're in prison. And I've seen many, many, many of my friends go through it in here, knock on wood, and thank God, every shape and form that he and she exists, that my mother is still alive.
Definitely.
Fear that.
Definitely.
I've been touched pretty much on everything else. Like I've lost loved ones, and my grandma's funeral, I was in shackles. Drove me there in a van in shackles, and I had to look at her, and it's fucked up, man. That's
it's all
prison.
fucked up, buddy.
Don't come to prison. You won't have to worry about that shit.
Please don't. Please don't.
Hey, let me see. I think we covered pretty much. Okay. She got in here something just to talk about solitary confinement in the aspect of consequences of our actions.
Most definitely.
How consequences increase in severity. So,
right.
Want me to start this one off?
I mean, you can, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll run down this really quick. So, right now, you might be young. You come home, your mom, smacks you on the ass or in the back of the head for doing something wrong. That's a consequence of your actions. They cuss you out, whatever. Police might pick you up, take you to the station for a couple hours. It's a consequence of your actions. Eventually, you might commit a crime that leads you to juvenile. And eventually, you might commit a crime that leads you to prison. Once you're in prison, though, the consequences of your actions increase 1,000-fold. Because in here, your actions, you live with a bunch of killers and murderers, and I include the officers that work here in that number because they have killed many of us.
Right.
So,
yeah, most definitely.
So you could end up in solitary confinement alone by yourself going crazy, staring at four walls. You can end up with your ass beat. You can end up fucked up mentally. You could leave here a vegetable. You could leave here so mentally scarred that you can't function in society. You could leave here raped and abused. You could leave here a drug addict. The bottom line is don't come.
Definitely. Like, you're not safe. We're not safe in this environment, right? Most definitely. Like I was saying, all right, you're not safe in this environment. You're not safe in this predicament. You think you're safe out there, but you're not, right? I like to equate it to like people that swim with sharks, right? People that swim with sharks, right? This is their domain, right? They're sharks. They attack by nature, like they have an animalistic instinct to be predators, right? And y'all are prey, right? So even though they're not violent right now, right? Sharks don't sleep. They don't sleep at all. So at one point they gonna fuck you up, right? And it's like that. It's just different. It's the same, but the waters run deep out there, and you in a fishbowl in here. So the sharks can be you can be easy prey for the sharks. You know what I'm saying? So you really shed light on the whole thing, right? Just how that shit escalates. Just try to de-escalate them before it gets that serious, man, because you can really put yourself in a place where you be kicking yourself in the ass for years. Years. You know?
Imagine you come to prison for some bullshit crime like stealing a car. Next thing you know, them sharks are chasing you around trying to fuck you.
For real? Why you bullshit? No, listen.
I ain't
just
bullshit.
The story with crazy, bro. No. I'm just saying though, like that's real shit. That's real shit, bro. Right? That's what I'm saying. Like they bullshit out there. But listen though, right?
Yeah.
Just to crazy man. Remember Lonnie Sin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This motherfucker was about to go home, man. Go home next year. He got into a fight with a guy, man. Punched him. He hit his head the wrong way, and he died.
So he went from
to
go home. He went from about to go home to about to stay for 20 more years.
You're not, and you can't beat this one. Like you think you can't beat that. You can't beat that because it's multiple witnesses, and it's the proof is right there. You struck this guy, and he fell and hit his head. He killed himself.
Right. And the state don't care about the circumstances. They don't care.
They don't.
Like little Indio next door, he's like, 70 years old? He came to prison when he was 20 years old with a 2-year bit. And the dude tried to rape him, and he killed him. Killed the guy while he was attempting to rape him, and they gave him life in prison. And he's still here. I think he's
still here.
He's got to be 70, late 60s, early 70s.
Indio,
yeah.
He touches 70.
Yeah. So wrap your mind around that. He came to prison for some simple ass crime. 2 years he was supposed to be here.
2 years.
Someone tried to rape him and he killed him, and now he's here forever.
Most definitely.
That's just fucked up. No matter how you look at it. So we say all these things. Talk about consequences. Consequences aren't always legal. The consequences of your action. Your action. Say, like I said, you stole a car. So everything that happens in prison or in jail after that is a consequence of that action.
Definitely.
It's like
definitely.
if I set up a bunch of dominoes and I tip the first one over and it hits the second one, hits the third one, hits the fourth one, all of that is the consequence of me tipping the first one over. So all those things that happen to you afterwards that are bad, your own fault.
Definitely.
That's something that's hard for somebody young to wrap their mind around, is taking responsibility. It took me a long time to take responsibility for my own actions. I would always blame it on something. Oh, I had a, whatever, bad childhood, or this happened, or that happened.
Right.
It's somebody else's fault.
Right.
That shit ain't no one's fault but your own. It was no one's fault but mine. So now I have to look back and think, damn, I did all these years in prison, all this shit, all these scars that I have, physical and mental, are all consequences of my action.
Self-inflicted.
I killed another man, and I came to prison for it. It's my fault.
Yeah.
No matter how else it's viewed, that shit is my fault. These are the consequences of that action. Let me tell you.
Definitely.
Prison is fucked up. Period.
It is.
Now, for me, it's turned out to, I've become a wonderful person in here. But I hope that you young people become wonderful people without ever having to come to prison. That's pretty much all I have to say on consequences of actions.
And that's the thing, right? And I'm gonna say something before we leave too. And you may have heard it before. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. It's to listen more than you speak. To listen more than you speak. Right? Most definitely. So just try that on for size, right? Even if the words are not computing or not relatable, just listen. Just listen more than you speak. That's it.
I'd like to say that no matter how much you think that you're not loved, or how much things hurt, or that people are being unfair to you, you are loved. Most people, when they're doing whatever they're doing, they're trying to be fair. You just can't see it. And I know that some of you may be in horribly abusive situations, and this doesn't count for that. But if you are in those situations, just try to seek help. Go to your school counselor. Go to a trusted teacher. Tell them, hey, I need help. But in general, somebody loves you. I guarantee it. Remember, you are loved. Because feeling unloved is how most of us ended up in prison. felt
For real.
lost, abandoned, unloved. We end up in all the bad situations with all the worst friends, gangs. All those things come from feeling unloved and looking for love in all the wrong
Trying to
places.
fill the void. Trying to fill the void.
Trying to fill that void, you know. But I guarantee you, your grandma, your aunt, your mom, your dad, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, they love you. You might not see it, and you might not appreciate it. But that being said, what do we do here live from the plantation?
We break the chains, my dude.
Break the motherfucking chains, and you youngsters can break them too. Don't repeat cycles
Most
of violence. Don't repeat cycles of abuse. Be the first one to do
Most
something different.
Most definitely. They on the right track though, man.
Of course.
They on the right track, buddy.
Yeah. Listen, you know, like I treat all these young kids around here. They call me Uncle Jerry for a reason. I treat all of them like they're my own kids. You know.
Most
So, I know most of them are on the right track. Society doesn't want to look at it that way, and it kind of pisses me off.
Yeah.
They just throw them away, keep throwing them into prison for these dumbass fucking crimes.
All right.
Yeah, you're right. Most of them are on the right track. There's some knuckleheads, but even them, if I talk to them long enough, I can get through to them. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
Most
Take us out,
definitely,
man.
buddy.
We rambled long enough. Motherfuckers are hanging. Right now, they're like, take this shit off, man. They've been on for like 2 hours.
That shit went in one ear out the other. No, don't let it do that, though. Don't let it play. Don't play into that, man. Don't be the revolving door. So, listen. Thanks for tuning in, family. And our family by this point now. Don't act strange. Don't act different. Y'all can come over. You know, come over, tune in, subscribe. XV3, the Red Zone, live from the plantation. The best show. By far, hands down. Flat out.